First off, I would like to tell you how excited I am to be here today to present this work. And second, I would like to say thank you so much to Heritage Education Network Belize for all of their hard work and dedication to this symposium, as well as the other work that you do. It is very important, and it's so appreciated. And I also want to thank you for your patience and support during this process. My name is Laura Howard, and I came to Belize as an archaeologist for the first time in 1994 and worked at an archaeological site called Pull Trouser Swamp. It was after that that I was hired by the Lamanai Field Research Center, which is housed at the Lamanai Outpost Lodge, and worked for the next 5 years. It was at that time that I met Dr. Elizabeth Graham, and she and I began to develop archaeological field schools that we did through the Lamanai Archaeological Project. We also worked with Dr. Scott Simmons on field schools as well. I was fortunate at that time also to meet Karen Pierce, who presented earlier in this session. The project that I'm going to present on today is called Philanthropy Through Travel, 2 communities near Lamanai, Belize, Indian Church, and San Carlos. The session that it fits into is the interface of Lamanai archaeologists and local communities. I know many of you do know the location of the country of Belize, but I went ahead and put it here anyway. And then I do have a map in the center here of the country of Belize. And I have a red circle here around the area where Indian Church, San Carlos, and the Lamanai Archaeological Site are located, which is considered northern Belize, and it's in the Orange Walk district. The map on the right here is showing these locations a little bit closer up, and you can see here on the north end is Lamanai Archaeological Reserve. This is a 2 square mile reserve, and then you can see Indian Church, which is directly to the south of the reserve. This map does show it. It appears it's on the river, but it's not. It's set back from the river. It's actually on the juncture of the road right here. And then approximately 3 miles south is the community of San Carlos that you see here. And one of the interesting facts about Lamanai is we do know that it's a popular tourist destination, but the Belize Tourist Board does list that we had over 80,000 visitors to this area in 2018. And also, as many of you know, the World Monuments Fund did put Lamanai on their watch list for 2022. And one of the things that the World Monuments Fund says about areas that they put on these lists, especially for Lamanai, is that sustainable tourism strategies are needed to recalibrate the impact of tourism and ensure just outcome for local communities. So this is extremely important to us, and we do look forward to what that might bring for us. I started the company of Beyond Touring, which developed out of the community engagement work that we did on the Lamanai Archaeological Project, as well as my keen interest in sharing and exposing the traveling public and student groups to the area surrounding Lamanai, including the 2 communities of San Carlos and Indian Church. The idea was to generate funds from the traveling public, and then each group had a community engagement component or a hands-on service learning project. Prior to travel, we would reach out to leaders of the community, principals of the schools, and or head of the women's co-op, or the village councils, depending, or all, again, depending on what the need was, to inquire about what they thought that they wanted or needed for their community. All highlighted projects presented here stem from those meetings and town halls. And our goal was always impact-driven projects with a positive end result through responsible service travel that was inclusive in nature. The first highlighted project is the Indian Church Library. In 2003 is when the community had expressed a desire to have a library. So it was in '03 that we started with a consultation with the village council and residents and began planning. And then in 2004 was when we started fundraising. Also in 2004 was when we did the remodel and the upgrade of the existing government building, which I'll show on the next slide. And then in 2005, we started our partnership with the Belize National Library System. It was in 2003 that we began to make this project a reality. And what we did was there was an existing small building that was allocated for a Peace Corps worker. And the Department of Education was who actually owned it. So we did meet with them and they provided us with the paperwork, and the building was given to Village Council of Indian Church. You can see that building is this little building that's right here, and that's what we call phase one of this project. And this phase one was completely funded by a family who had traveled with Beyond Touring and provided the initial $5,000 for this project. The second phase of work, which you can see the crew here putting these on, the blocks, and then you can see it on this back section here is the new part of it. That was the second phase, and that was predominantly provided monies from individuals, especially Lamanai archaeologists and their friends and family. This individual here in the middle is particularly important. Her name is Sonia Gonzalez, and she is a part-time librarian working at the library year-round, and salary is paid by the Belize National Library. And Sonia is an incredible librarian who does magnificent projects, and this is one of them that she does every summer. She does hold a summer reading camp to promote literacy. And you can see the students here with their t-shirts and their poster boards that they made. So we're very excited to have Sonia on this project for so many years and appreciate all of her hard work. Our second highlighted project is the San Carlos Library. The funding of this library was primarily from student groups who traveled with Beyond Touring, but also from Lamanai archaeologists and their family and friends as well. So in 2011 it was when we met with the village council and they expressed an interest in having a library. So it was that same year that we also began fundraising. And then in 2012, we did start the remodel and the upgrade of one classroom in the previous, our old school that was in the community. And 2012 was also the time that we began our partnership with the Belize National Library System. The San Carlos Library is significantly bigger than the Indian Church Library, but it does have a few less books. From our partnership with Food for the Poor, we were able to get books to Belize with them. They placed our boxes in their shipping containers that were coming to Belize. Food for the Poor is located in my hometown, Deerfield Beach, Florida. So I would box up the books and take them over in a rented van. We also worked and partnered with the Belize National Library, who would pick up the books from the port, take them to the National Library in Belize City, catalog every book, and then we worked closely with the Mennonite Penner family, who would pick up the books from the Belize National Library and bring them out to San Carlos and Indian Church. This library too, San Carlos, benefited from the Belize National Library partnership because there is a permanent part-time position for a librarian there as well. So you can see here in these images, this is a student group that traveled through Beyond Touring that is presenting to the students in the library. You can see them here as well. This is outside of the library. This right here is the classroom that we refurbished. So this one we had to do a little bit more than we did to the original building at Indian Church, because we did have to redo all of the windows. We did have to do the complete roof, all the doors, And then we did do the cell text on the ceiling part inside. But this is, like I had mentioned earlier, is significantly bigger space. And you can see a student here working with some of the Belizeans as well. And then of course we did have a service learning where we did paint the outside with this group. The third highlighted project is the kitchen construction at Las Orquídeas restaurant in Indian Church. The restaurant began as a woman's group. They were predominantly grinding corn into masa for the community to purchase and use, and that's what the restaurant grew out of. In 1995, they did receive a grant from Canada Fund for Local Initiatives, which started that part of the process. And it was in 2011 that the organization came to us and said that they were interested in a larger kitchen, and also the fact that they were still using wood in the interior part of their original kitchen, which can be a health hazard. So in 2011, we met with the group. We talked about fundraising, and it was at that time that Project Kitchen Belize initiative began. And then in 2012, the addition to the rear replaces the previous kitchen, including the plumbing, sink, and the cupboards. We all felt that this was such a worthwhile project because the ladies that work at Las Arcadias work incredibly hard. It is amazing how many families in the community this co-op benefits, and their work ethic is really unmatched in any organization in the area. They do have a rotating work schedule, and so that helps them. So they're on and off certain times. I'm going to look through the pictures here a bit and just show you. This is the on this left side here. This is the original kitchen, part of the original kitchen, but it gives you an idea of what they did have, and then you can see here the new construction. And this, of course, is the building of it. This is the original structure here, and then this is the addition that was put on. This addition was predominantly funded by the group that you see here. This group visited, and during that time they did hold numerous meetings with the ladies and talk to them about what they thought about expanding their kitchen. And they were very amenable and positive to this, and had asked for this. And I mentioned earlier that this older kitchen here, they were still burning wood inside of it, which is a serious health hazard. So one of the things that was built was this stove that does have a chimney to vet out the smoke. But predominantly this stove right now is used only for traditional cooking lessons that they give. So people that visit the area can learn how to do empanadas and grind the corn and learn how to do handmade from ground corn tortillas. And then you can see an individual, one of the ladies here working in the new kitchen. So this, as I mentioned, this is the group that did the predominant fundraising for it. This individual right here in the yellow shirt is Jessie Marcotte, and she did a lot of the organizing and held a fundraiser in an art gallery in Long Beach, California that raised $8,000 to do this addition for the ladies. You can see this picture here of the original group of Las Orquídeas, and this is a more one of the most current pictures that I have of the group. And our fourth and final project highlighted is the dock at San Carlos. In 2014, we did have a student group that came and held a town hall with the community and helped them assess needs that they may have and wants. And what came out of it was the dock. And then 2015, we began the land and jetty construction. And also in 2015, the floating dock was constructed at that point. So you will see here, this is the student group from Florida International University that came and conducted the town hall. These students, once they heard from the community what their need was, went back to Miami and did hold a fundraiser to support this project. The design is a bit different because it does have this jetty land that we put in and priced in because this area is marsh, especially during the low season. And then we designed, well, the Mennonites assisted us, we designed a floating dock for the end that you see right here. And you can see a little bit of it right here as well. But unfortunately, that portion of the dock is no longer there because it was taken out by a tropical storm. But the jetty is still used, this landmass jetty is still used, especially during the low season. This is where my presentation ends. We had many trials and tribulations during these highlighted activities and other projects, and our overriding lesson was at every juncture to include the residents and ensure that their needs were met, and to ensure that everybody was included in what we did. I'd like to thank you for being here today, and I would like to thank again the Heritage Education Network for all their work on this symposium. Thank you.